Am I the idiot for what I said to my dad who cheated on my mom? I used to be really close to my dad, but then he cheated on my mom when I was 13, well that's when she found out, and got his mistress pregnant and left my mom and married her. My mom still made me go over and see them because apparently he still loved me. So now my dad and I have a weird relationship where I can't cut him off because he's my dad, but I don't like his wife. She tries to have a relationship with me and wants my approval, but have some respect and leave me alone. And don't really want anything to do with the kid, but I'm still nice BC, it's not his fault his parents suck. I am 26 and have a boyfriend. Gonna marry him one day, he's the one for me, love. And my dad wanted to meet him and talk to him. I joked, but not really a joke, and was like, are you going to be one of those dads who threatens their daughter's boyfriends? Are you gonna tell him not to cheat on me? Are you even allowed to say that? Or is that not a threat because you support cheating? My dad started crying, which was new for me because I kid you not, my dad is one of those retired army, football, steak, hunting, no crying kind of man. He told me that losing my brothers and me was the worst thing that's ever happened, and that he's scared that my brothers will never talk to him again. He said he spent 13 years trying to be a good dad to me, but I never came back to him. He told me that his and my mom's relationship had absolutely nothing to do with me and that he loved me more than anything. He begged me to forgive him and talked about how my mom forgave him and is happily married. He told me he just wants to make sure I'll be safe with the guy and that he's my dad and allowed to care about me. I told him he's hurt me worse than anyone, so he's hypocritical for trying to see if I'm dating a good guy or not. I couldn't be there anymore and just left. Edit. These comments have helped me realize that while what I said was okay, it is obvious that I am still hurt and that I love my dad. I do think I want a relationship with him. Does anyone know what I should do about his wife though? Super lost on that one. Edit 2. Texted my dad and asked him when he's free to talk. He lives in the same state as me, so I am happy we can have this discussion in person. Comment 1. I've noticed that Reddit projects stuff like that onto people. Set reasonable boundaries with your dad and make him earn his way back into your life if that's what you want. I didn't meet my grandfather until I was 15 because of past issues such as this, and I ended up loving the guy. It's up to you to give him a chance, but if he's willing to respect boundaries and take it slow, then maybe you should consider it. Edit. Forgot to mention that with my grandma it was a hard no. So, if you're a hard no, then disregard everything I said. Comment 2. I'm not sure it's necessarily inherently misogynistic. I like to know the partners of those close to me in life regardless of gender. My mother likes to meet my boyfriends, etc. I'm fresh off a divorce and my friends have been slowly getting to know my new BF. I think it's pretty normal to want to know an important person in the life of someone important to you. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling people in school about my dad's affair with his wife? I, 16M, live with my dad, his wife and the kids they have together who are 12 and 9. I actually had very little contact with my dad until 2 years ago when my mom got sick and ended up in the hospital. She died 3 months after going into the hospital. Then I got stuck with his happy little family. My parents were married when my dad met his wife. She worked with him and they started an affair. The affair only came to light when she got pregnant. I found out about it through my aunt and uncle. I stayed with my mom. Dad sometimes saw me. I have never been afraid to be honest about why I don't like living with my family. I have talked about it in school since I moved in with them, in their small-ass conservative town. Word has gotten out more and my dad's wife found out how people will judge. She was grocery shopping and a friend of hers told her to stay away from her husband. Things got out from there. They also found out I mentioned how my parents' marriage only ended because dad got his wife pregnant during the affair. Their kids never knew about this and found out via mean kids at school. They ended up confronting me over it and I told them they were coming to the wrong person if they wanted an apology, because I didn't give a shit about their feelings or them being embarrassed. Dad told me I had a shitty attitude. I told him he shouldn't expect me to celebrate their affair or their relationship. She then told me if my mom was a good wife and mother my dad never would have strayed in the first place, and that I had the chance to have a family and was punishing them when it wasn't my place. I told her if she ever said anything negative about my mom again, then she would be happy to settle for embarrassment, because I would make sure everyone knew just how terrible she is to speak crap about her stepson's dead mom, when she had slept with his father behind his mom's back and helped in the breakdown of his family. They still insist I should not be telling people their personal business and making their lives harder by spreading gossip. Comment 1. I have cricket and a heat press. My petty ass would gladly send him one if he lives in the US. My father got my mom pregnant with my brother while still married to his first wife. When my mom found out he was married, she ended things and told him to tell his wife or she would. She only took him back because she was pregnant, and when I was a baby he started going fishing without his fishing gear. She said you lose them how you got them and kicked him to the curb for the last time. Comment 2. My goodness, that seals it for me. I know what small town life is like and that you sometimes have to be discreet about things even though you yourself don't see the necessity. So I would have thought soft ESH until I read that line. Your father's wife is a disgusting excuse for a human being to say that about someone, much more so about a dead woman. OP is NTA, and I hope the entire town finds out what your stepmonster said about your father cheating. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my I-19M? Cheating dad that I didn't care about him and my stepfather has been a better father than him. So my mother and father have been divorced for 4 years. They divorced because my father had multiple affairs behind my mother's back. His affairs and cheating involved 3 of my teachers. One being my cheerleading coach whom I was very close to. My dad knew this and got involved with her anyways. When it came out it somehow became public knowledge at my high school. It was a smaller private school, and word spread fast. My mom only found out because one of my dad's mistresses supposedly got jealous and told her, so I'm assuming my cheerleading coach told a teacher that she'd been sleeping with my dad, and that teacher spoke around and word got to the other teachers. Word probably passed from teachers to other students as eventually everyone knew. I haven't had much contact with my dad. I pretty much completely cut him out of my life as he wasn't a stellar father to me to begin with. He was much closer to my sister than me, and they still talk. My father wants me and my sister to spend Christmas with him this year. I do not want to, but my sister does. She told my dad this, and my dad called me to express his anger about me not going. He said it's incredibly messed up that I don't want to spend one day with him even though he's my dad. I told him that he was a shit dad. He got mad and went off on me. I told him that a good dad wouldn't have banged teachers that were close to me while married to my mom. I then said that my new stepdad has been a better father figure to me than he ever was. This led to my dad trying to equate what he did to something I did. Almost a year ago, I got drunk at a frat party and I cheated on my girlfriend in some ways. I told within the week it happened, and my girlfriend decided she wanted to forgive me, and I'm still with her and never will do that again. He compared this to having more than 5 different mistresses behind his wife of 22 years back. I thought it was complete bullshit and ended the conversation and hung up. My dad apparently told my sister and mom, and they both are upset with me. My sister because she's a daddy's girl who thinks I'm an asshole for not giving my dad a chance despite also being a cheater. And my mom for saying what I said, which she felt was needlessly cruel for me to say even though it might be true. Comment 1. OH honey, what school district do you think would bother? When I was in junior high, 2 married teachers banged each other and were caught by the entire 6th grade band. They were doing it in her office in the band room. Neither of them were fired. A few years later there was a thing where 3 sets of parents and married teachers all sort of shaped spouses within 3MO. They had all been fooling around for a few years, one got caught, and the dominoes fell. As far as I know, the younger teachers in all that mess are still teaching today. These happened in the 80s. Comment 2. I'm this particular case I would support firing the teachers, as it started to affect students. But I wouldn't support any other sort of immorality clause in the teachers' contracts, as that leads to shit like firing a teacher for being a divorced woman or for being gay, as morality clauses in Catholic schools do. As despicable as cheating is, unless it affects students, the school has no business in it. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for possibly excusing my dad's affair and telling my sister to move on? My I-19M mom passed away 3 years ago. A parent's death is always going to be traumatic, but my older sister, 25F, took it particularly hard. She was always really close with our mom, so I understand that it would be more difficult for her to process. Pretty soon after my mom's passing, around 7 months, my dad told us he was dating his best friend, Thomas. Thomas has been friends with my dad since they were in college. For all of our lives, we called Thomas our bonus dad because of how involved he was in pretty much everything. He came to our school plays awards ceremonies, our graduations, was there when we took prom photos. The list goes on. Nearly every single significant life moment I've had that my parents were there for, so was Thomas. It was a little bit of a shock when he first told us, but I love my dad and Thomas. And maybe some would call me cheesy or say that I'm reading too much into things, but there's something in my dad's eyes now that just reads as peaceful. I think he deserves that. My sister didn't take this announcement as well as I did. She claimed that it was way too soon after my mom's passing for my dad to start dating. Now, this is where I may be the asshole. As I said, it's been 3 years since my mom passed, and so it's been over 2 that my dad and Thomas have officially been together. I understand that grief is different for everyone and I still miss my mom every single day, but the bitterness my sister holds is unreasonable in my eyes. She came home over Christmas, but she's never overly friendly with Dad or Thomas, and it frustrates me. I called her out on it this year in private and told her she needed to stop making our dad feel guilty for moving on. She claimed she knew more than I did, and that she was 99% sure that Dad and Thomas had something going on while my mom was still alive. I told her I didn't really care if they did. That might sound fucked up, which is why I'm asking for judgment, but that's my dad's life, not mine. I said that there was no reason for us to be angry on my mom's behalf because she's gone. But our dad and Thomas are still here and she's wasting years with them worried about what I'm sure was a very nuanced situation. She hasn't spoken to me since Christmas. Edit, there seems to be a pervasive misconception that I told my sister to move on. I never did that. I don't think anyone ever moves on from a parent or spouse's death in the sense that it just leaves their mind. I told her she needs to stop guilting our dad over choosing a new romantic partner. The title, Unable to be Edited, was me attempting to be concise / get across the point that I was asking her to let go of the animosity she harbors towards him, not asking her to move on from our mom. The comments insinuating I've forgotten about my mom or don't care about her anymore are a leap, and extremely off-putting to say to a stranger. Comment 1. I can do you one better. Found some photos in my dad's top drawer. Didn't know what I was looking for but he kept important stuff there, so just being a snoopy kid. Polaroid photos of a naked woman. Like you, I thought my dad was cheating, so I sat him down alone and told him, I know what you've been doing, and he says, you found out I smoke weed? I'm like, huh? No, I DGAF about that. I found the photos. Are you cheating on mom? My dad goes, photos? What fo? What did you do with those photos? Me, I put them back immediately and felt gross. Dad, well, I'm not cheating on mom, you felt gross because that ISMOM. Comment 2. That was my first thought when OP listed the number of events the boyfriend attended. That level of family inclusion is so atypical that I'd be shocked if mom wasn't in some way accepting of a not just friends dynamic. Though maybe I'm just not familiar with cultures where that would be normal.